Dave Scott, Civic Center TV, right here in the inner sanctum at West Bloomfield Township. I'm sitting in Steve Kaplan's office, Supervisor, West Bloomfield Township. Steve, thanks for taking a couple minutes for us today.
Great to see you, Dave, as always.
I appreciate it. This is not the state of the communities, but can I still ask you the state of West Bloomfield? Thumbs up, thumbs down, where are we right now?
West Bloomfield's doing very well. Property values are high. Environment is being protected. People are buying new homes. People are moving into older homes. We think the township's doing well.
West Bloomfield is, I don't know if it's a completely mature community. There's still development opportunities in West Bloomfield, but it's getting closer to being a mature community where you know where residential is, you know where commercial is. There's only so many ways you can juggle the picture in this community, or do I have that wrong?
No, you're right. It's 97% built. We are what's called a neighborhood community. We don't have any factories. We don't have any marijuana businesses, fortunately. We don't need the community going to pot. We think it was a good decision on our part to not allow marijuana businesses in West Bloomfield.
Well, so there certainly are plenty of them available everywhere else. So, but as long as you brought that up, why?
For one, many people are offended by the aroma or odor of marijuana. Also, studies show that crimes occur more often at a marijuana business than not at a marijuana business. And do people really want to drive into a plaza or a strip mall and see a marijuana store? Marijuana is prevalent, it's available. Go to Walled Lake, purchase as much as you want. But we here, the leaders of West Bloomfield, we think we are respecting our residents' wishes by not permitting marijuana sales and production and transportation here in West Bloomfield.
We're going to talk, and not exclusively about West Bloomfield, but mostly. But before I get into that, you take a look at what's going on in Sylvan Lake, Keego Harbor, and Orchard Lake. 4 communities that work very closely together in a number of matters. And there are exciting things going on across the whole region. We are seeing the small business development areas that we have flourish, and new exciting things coming in all 4 of these communities.
The 4 communities do not view one another as rivals. We are friends, we are partners. When one thrives, the other thrives. So West Bloomfield leaders are very pleased with what is occurring in Keego Harbor, Orchard Lake, and Sylvan Lake. All those cities have fantastic leadership.
So at a lunch, and you're always kind to make yourself available for lunch, and we get together with a lot of the other people here in the township.
Even though you constantly forget your wallet for lunch purposes.
Well, you know, it's convenient, but it's nice to get together and mingle socially with the other people that run the other departments here. Last time we did that, we were up at a restaurant on Orchard Lake Road, right in the midst of what is a very busy area, and I suggested to you that area, Orchard Lake, the way that we've redeveloped that corridor from Maple to Northwestern Highway, is beginning to evolve into West Bloomfield's downtown. Your thoughts?
Are you referring, Dave, to where Middle Belt and Orchard Lake intersect, or are you referring to Maple and Orchard Lake area?
I'm referring to Orchard Lake Road between Northwestern Highway and Maple Road, if I misspoke.
Yes, I mean, that's called the downtown overlay area here in West Bloomfield. We encourage building, we encourage development, but we're trying to be environmentally sound, and we're trying to be green. We're having LEED buildings. They're certified, and we feel that developers would prefer to be able to build something that will last a long time, not contribute to global warming, and also with the glaciers melting and all that, but we're interested in carbon neutrality here.
Well, I think it's good, and I don't think it's necessarily always visible when you're driving down the road. We see new, larger residential developments on Orchard Lake Road. I mean, definitely needed in the community, but I'm glad you brought up the environmental aspect, because there's a lot of protected waterlands right in those areas, and I never really thought about what must go into that planning to preserve the environment in that area.
Right. So we don't give tax abatements. Townships do not do that, but when our developers or redevelopers want to renovate a project or build a new project, they know that they're going to be facing stern and stiff environmental rules.
And also rules for operating a business in our community in a way that is consistent with the neighboring businesses. And that I assume that was certainly the case when the thoughts were to allow Tesla to build on Orchard Lake Road. It's not a traditional car dealership like you would see on Telegraph and 12 Mile, for example.
And the reason Tesla is able to operate in West Bloomfield is we have a master plan. It was adopted in 2016 and readopted or amended in 2022. But automobile dealerships at that time, Dave, were not prohibited in that overlay district, and now they are. So you won't see any other dealerships being built or any type of car services like car washes in that area.
But I mean, honestly, isn't it kind of cool that we have a Tesla deal? They are the hot, trendy thing right now. Or do you just look at these businesses as, you have to look at them generically in order to do your job?
Yeah, as you mentioned, Tesla is chic, it's vogue.
Yeah.
I think many residents in West Bloomfield will enjoy having a Tesla. Some people believe business will travel here, that maybe somebody will travel 20 miles each way to visit the Tesla dealership, and while here might decide, I need a loaf of bread here, I want to buy some milk, I want to visit, I want to add gas to my car. So we're thinking it could generate some business in a small way.
So, would you say West Bloomfield is a community that we want to see more development with a limited space that we have, more residential and more business development, and see growth, or are we trying to stifle that? I hope you don't mind me asking.
No, I suppose township board members, if we had a preference for the use of available land, we would prefer homes versus businesses.
Okay, well, I appreciate that, and that is consistent with the history and the current makeup of the community. And I assume when people are looking for a place to invest and live, that they want to make sure that it's a community that the residential properties are going to maintain their value. And
Right.
I think you owe that to the constituents.
And if I may, a 5-story apartment building is being erected, you know where it is, on Orchard Lake Road,
Sure.
just north of 14 Mile.
Sure.
In front of Panera.
Sure.
It's called Apex. And it'll be 216 apartment units, state of the art. And the developer, Hunter Pastor Homes, they believe that there's a market for apartment buildings. And starting 1 bedroom, maybe $2,200 per month. When you and I were growing up, people in their 20s, their goal was to own a home.
Right.
We learned from our parents, save your money, buy a home.
Right.
And that property will appreciate in value, and you'll always have security. But I'm not sure that the average young adult subscribes to that theory. And that's why these apartment buildings, Dave, are attractive to those in their 20s and 30s who are professionals.
I mean, really, we should be flattered that 20-year-olds want to live in West Bloomfield. I mean, the markets that you think they would gravitate toward, Royal Oak, downtown. I mean, it is nice that they would want to live here in West Bloomfield.
They might want to be with family. And one aspect of West Bloomfield, it's not unknown, and people watching the show will agree, that you might have had a family living in West Bloomfield, Dave, for 30 years in a 2,400 square foot home. And now the mother and father, the children have left the home. Maybe they're living nearby, maybe not. But these families are downscaling. They want to buy maybe a smaller home. And that's why we have these newer, not why, but we have these newer homes like on Haggerty and Walnut Lake Road. This subdivision is a huge subdivision of 220 homes. And who would think, is there a market for it? These homes sell for $600,000 plus. But
Right.
apparently there's a market, and people want to live in West Bloomfield.
Well, it's a desirable place to live, and you've got a lot of great partners in the community. Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital, certainly one of them. What a fantastic resource to have right here.
It's one of the best hospitals in Michigan, and we're very pleased. They have a top-flight emergency room. In fact, one criticism of Henry Ford Hospital West Bloomfield is patients might have to wait longer than they want when they're there for emergency purposes, even lying on a gurney until a room becomes available. And Henry Ford Hospital West Bloomfield is responding to that because they're going to build additional emergency rooms.
No, I know there's new development out there. They tell me they're the only ones that have a parking structure in all of West Bloomfield. So I think they're really proud of being here and having that campus.
And you know the leaders, but the various presidents residents of Henry Ford Hospital, West Bloomfield. They're outstanding. The one flaw is that they tend not to remain more than 3 or 4 years, because then they receive elevations maybe to the downtown campus.
Well, you know, I mean, that's just part of the reality of having a hospital. It's part of a network, I assume. Another mainstay of our community has to be our amazing public safety, and we continue to see great work. Crime is low. Fire department is saving lives. Not recently, we had a garage fire here in West Bloomfield, and they were able to take care of that. That's only one incident, and then we're just so lucky to have both, you know, Chief Flynn and Chief Patton, who are very dedicated servants to the community and also can communicate the message of their department so well.
You mentioned Greg Flynn has been our fire chief for about 6 years, and he's a young man. He's about 48, so this probably is not his last stop. We don't want him to leave, but I could see Chief Greg Flynn being the fire chief in a multi-discipline department, you know, maybe with 6 or 7 departments combined, like Bingham Farms and Southfield Township and Beverly Hills. And Michael Patton has been our police chief since August of 2010. And here's a man who just loves being a chief and loves being part of the community. And you know this, Dave Scott, because you attend many community events. It's because of you and your staff and the commission that many of these events are televised or cablevised, but there's Mike Patton. What's Mike Patton doing there? Because he cares about the community.
Yeah, he's not there because he has to be. For, you know, he could send some of his crew out there to make sure that they have the law enforcement needs on hand. No, you're right. He is a great community guy. I really thoroughly enjoy working with both of them. I can just tell the folks in the community we're very lucky to have both of those guys here and their crews.
And if I may share with you,
sure.
You probably know that we have 82 police officers in West Bloomfield, including command officers. We don't have 82 at one time, maybe 78, 79, but we're budgeted for 82 officers, and that makes a difference. The number of officers we have, Dave, exceed what the FBI requires. The West Bloomfield residents are willing to pay for those additional officers. They've approved every millage that has been on the ballot since 2004, and that includes increases. So not just renewals, but enhancements.
And the result of some of that investment by the community is a project that is very near completion, and that's the upgrades to the police department building right here on the campus. I was able to get a tour at the beginning of the construction, and it just wasn't a modern facility. They didn't anticipate having female officers to the degree, and so there weren't facilities for that, and on and on and on and on. And that project is almost done.
It is, and it's state-of-the-art, but it's not a Taj Mahal. We haven't had residents claiming that you're expending all of our money on that. We've been very careful. Township board members have been very precise and insistent on keeping the prices low, the costs low, because it's not our money. It's the taxpayers' money. It's the residents' money. I wanted to share with you that we were rated the safest community in Michigan in 2023. We've had 2 homicides in the past 10 years. You don't hear about carjackings and armed robberies in West Bloomfield. Not to say that one can't occur tomorrow, but I think it's because of the presence of the officers. And also we have a geographical break here in West Bloomfield. You know that with all the lakes, the 28 lakes, some burglar not familiar with West Bloomfield,
they're going to get stuck. They're not going to get away.
He's going to have to call the police to escape from the area.
Well, it is a benefit, but I would say a large portion of the safety, the high degree of safety, is due to the dedicated officers and what they've done here over the years. And criminals know not to mess around in West Bloomfield. I mean, I think the word's out. I think it is.
Well, you know my former profession.
Yes.
As assistant prosecuting attorney, and it is true that inmates. What do inmates talk about in prison? You know, they talk about their old girlfriends, and they talk about hitting home runs when they're in Little League, but they also discuss crimes.
Right.
So they learn how to commit additional crimes from inmates who might have that skill. But they also talk about communities. And it's not unknown for one inmate to tell another inmate, West Bloomfield is not the area where you want to commit an armed robbery, because you're likely to be apprehended quickly.
Criminals don't want to come here. Steve Kaplan, Township Supervisor in West Bloomfield, but people do. And one of the reasons is our incredible Parks and Recreation Department that we have here. Now, It's not an official department
Right.
of the township. And maybe you can explain that for people watching right now, how that structurally works, and then we'll talk a little bit about them.
Sure. Under township law, townships are based on the Michigan statutes. And Michigan statutes provide that the Parks Commission and the Library Commission fall under the Township Board. But in 1973, the voters for both the library and Parks and Recreation decided to have separate governing bodies. And I think it works out well. Now, if Parks Commission didn't have its own governing body, led by Robert Brooks, there are 7 fantastic board members
Absolutely.
there, as you know, then it would fall under West Bloomfield. And although we feel that we would have the skills to do an adequate job, they're better than we are. That's what they specialize in. And we are just so proud. And just to tell you, from time to time, a board member like me will be in the public and somebody will say, boy, those programs at the Parks Commission, just fabulous. Daddy-daughter dancing and learning how to play tennis and thinking that we have something to do with it at West Bloomfield Township Board, and we say thank you very much. So,
I think the same thing happens at the county level with the road commission. Did you know the road commission isn't part of the county government? So, I mean, things like it's interesting, and I think on a show like this, we love to point that out.
Sure.
Now, the big news on this campus is that the Parks and Rec team are putting a proposition before voters to build a new 30,000 square foot building, one that was much over needed. According to everyone in the know here, and when you met and the other electeds here in West Bloomfield Township, when we were there with our cameras, met with the Parks Board, it just seemed like everyone universally thought this project is a good idea. Tell us why.
Sure. The current property here for Parks Commission, which is on the Civic Center campus, is 8,500 square feet. The proposed complex will consist of 33,500 square feet, including a second level, including a walking track, including rooms for studying and meeting, and it's going to enhance property values. But more importantly, 50% of the residents of West Bloomfield, Dave, as you well know, are 50 years of age or older. And these seniors are vibrant, and they want somewhere to go. They want to maintain friendships. They want to meet some new friends. And right now, the Connect is in a different location. Sure. As you know, it's at 14 Mile in Farmington. But probably within 2 years, this campus will consist of a Parks building, which the residents deserve, one that will be very proud.
Well, and I was at Connect not too long ago preparing to do a broadcast, and there were a number of people there that were retired people that were playing ping pong. And a huge crowd right in the middle of the day, people enjoying the Connect space. So I know we're making it work over there. When it comes back here to a larger facility, it's designed to better serve the community. It's going to be a great thing. So we'll keep an eye on this whole process
and
as
in
we move forward.
If I may, in addition to that, and I don't know as much as the Parks Commissioners about this, but Drake Park, the number of pickleball courts will be expanded. The area will be enhanced, and so will some other park areas.
Well, it's really amazing. You know, it's just over at Orchard Lake City Hall over there, and we have a new park right down the road from there. We have our amazing trail system, which connects these communities more with new safety lighting systems as you're driving down Orchard Lake Road. You know, and so many events. It's just a great addition to what Parks is doing to make this just an amazing, livable community. It really is. Steve, I appreciate your time today and having a chance to chat. And everyone who knows you have a wonderful sense of humor, which we're not going to exercise during the rest of this interview. But, you know, on a serious note, why do you do this? I mean, you were in the prosecutor's office. There are a lot of other options in your career at this point. What is it that drives you, and why are you the supervisor of West Bloomfield Township?
Well, it sounds corny and self-aggrandizing, but I do enjoy public service. Long ago, I was elected to the Southfield School Board all the way back to the year 1987, so I don't want to give away my age. But I served on the school board for 8 years. I served on as an elected township trustee here for 12 years, and then I was elected supervisor. But Dave, it was not my goal to be township supervisor. I was working as a prosecuting attorney, teaching law school, and serving part-time as a township board member, which is equivalent to a city councilman. And then the elected prosecutor in 2016, Michelle decided not to run, and I did run, and and I'm just honored to hold the position of Township Supervisor.
And you've got a lot of great colleagues in the other elected officials here in West Bloomfield. You seem to be working together very effectively
Well, sure.
and getting a lot done.
Well, I'm biased, but I think we have the best township board in Michigan.
All right. Well, I'm awful glad to be. I'll be biased too on that one. I'm awful glad to have the great working relationship with you, the board, and everybody here in West Bloomfield. And I grew up here, so it means something to me. It's important that this all works well. There's a lot of people counting on you every day, and you're doing a great job.
And not to offer a gratuitous appreciation, but I do want to say that we're very fortunate to have Civic Center TV here in West Bloomfield. If you watch the shows, they're produced in a high fashion, and they're interesting. And the people behind the cameras, they love what they do, including you.
Well, thank you. Normally I'm behind. This is kind of an unusual spot for me today, but good to be here with you. Steve, thank you very much for your time. He is the Township Supervisor of West Bloomfield, Steve Kaplan. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm Dave Scott. This is Civic Center TV.